Hey y'all, welcome back to Gadfly, the podcast about third parties, French candidates, and just generally weird American electoral history. I'm Dusty Wilson.
I'm Una O'Leary.
And we are just diving right back in. We are in the middle of the election of 1860 saga, aka Abraham Lincoln, aka a bunch of stuff you should have learned in high school, but we all went to public school, and this is what we got.
I maintain that the private school kids didn't learn this either.
You know what? I bet you're right. I bet they learned economics, and I bet they learned networking, and they got secret
They learned
societies.
how to get a gentleman's C. Yeah.
Well, we all learned how to get, I don't know, like I don't have a good backup to that. It's just sad.
Roped into consumerism? Yeah. I got nothing.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, anyway, last time we were talking about what is leading up to the election of Abraham Lincoln, and we're at about 1854. There are currently 5 parties running for election in this midterm election. There are the Democrats, who have really fucked up trying to stop the Civil War by making it more and more inevitable, this time with the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which has caused a minor civil war in all of Kansas.
A little bit.
It's not great. There are the Whig Party, who, thanks to the Kansas-Nebraska Act, has completely split. The Southern Whigs are pro-slavery, the Northern Whigs are anti-slavery, and everything's fallen the fuck apart for what used to be the second largest party in America. There's the Opposition Party, former Democrats and Whigs who don't like the expansion of slavery, but don't have anywhere to go and only have one opinion. And
They're
it's not even a right one. I'm in it to a point. Then you have the American Party, which is really great if you hate Catholics and or the Irish. It just speaks volumes about how in America it's like, oh, you hate a group of people, form a party on it. And
Yeah.
this is not the last time that will happen.
What is subtlety?
America don't got subtlety. It ain't in the Constitution. I don't need it. And finally, out of Wisconsin, born out of an old white schoolhouse, the Republican Party, brand new and birthed upon this nation.
Oh,
It's joys.
in all its embryonic fluid.
It's just everywhere.
Yeah. Just,
That's why
just
Wisconsin is the
oozing.
embryonic fluid state.
oh. That's why the cheese is so squeaky.
Yeah, God damn it. Anyway, the 1854 midterm.
What are we here for?
I don't know how to make cheese. This is a cheese podcast.
Yes. Why are we doing that?
Oh man, just bullshitting about cheese being incredibly wrong at every turn. What a life we could have had. Anyway, let's get sad. So the Republicans knew that if they were to break through the crowded field, they would have to attract some big names to lead their party. And in Illinois, they swung big by offering their state party chairmanship position to former congressman and current Whig, Abraham Lincoln.
He was a Whig.
He was a Whig.
Wigging out.
Now, we will do a slightly deeper dive into Lincoln in the next episode. So for now, all I'll mention is that in 1854, Lincoln was working as a lawyer and was openly against the expansion of slavery. He was also in the midst of an election run for the Illinois House of Representatives, where he'd last served in 1842. And the future first great Republican president turned down the Republican Party.
Oh, this is a rom-com I can get behind.
Yes. You see, despite the fact that the Whigs were self-imploding, many members still felt like they could pull everything back together. Only 3 years prior, they had someone who was the fucking president. So why should they just step aside and let some new party succeed them out of nowhere? It also didn't help that people very quickly began to view the Republicans as an extremist group. I know that's a sentence you never heard, never considered.
As it was born, so shall it be.
You know, this is like the true, like, Batman quote. I mean, it's Two-Face, but or Joker. One of them. One of the idiots said it.
Riddler.
Yeah. Oh my God. Riddler and an update. Like, you know, you live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
Yes.
So propaganda in the South began to spread that Republicans were nothing but a pack of mad abolitionists that were hell-bent on freeing the enslaved and forcing the South into financial ruin, which was pretty far from the truth. The Republicans were far more interested in returning political power to the North, and by historians' best estimates, maybe 10% of the Republican Party at most supported the complete abolition of slavery. Even Lincoln himself often spoke aloud that he was solely against the expansion of slavery, not the complete abolition of it. In the end, the Republicans would be incredibly unsuccessful in courting Whigs away from their party, and in 1854 would have to run mostly lesser-known candidates. And to make things even harder, they would only be able to run in the North, seeing as how they were overwhelmingly unwelcome in slave states. In their first election, the Republicans would fall completely flat and not win a single race in the House. At this time, senators were still elected by state representatives, and so it'd be up to the state governments to decide the senators, and people only voted for congressmen at the time. This would be changed to the 17th Amendment and make libertarians very mad for a very long time. But the Democrats would, objectively, have a much worse election, losing 75 seats in the House.
Oh.
The opposition party would suddenly become the plurality with 100 seats. The Democrats would be in second with 83, and the anti-Irish Americans would win 51. Yeah, the American Party Know-Nothings are now the third most powerful party in America.
Amazing.
But to make things even more fun, no one held a majority. And you kind of need one of those if you're going to have a functioning government and elect a Speaker of the House.
Yeah, what is this, Europe?
So after a long debate, the House would elect Nathaniel P. Banks as Speaker. And technically, since he is a member of the American Party kind of controlled the direction of the House.
Oh man, it just started wailing on the Irish.
First thing in March, St. Patrick's Day is not a thing.
Oh, but listen, I would vote for that. I'm all for that.
Look, if I am running solely for Congress on the stance that St. Patrick's Day is only on the day that it is on. If you celebrate it during the weekend when St. Patrick's Day is, say, on a Wednesday, I will put you in jail. You will go immediately to jail, and we might horsewhip you, which I think is when you take a horse and you hit someone with it. So it's going to have to be a miniature pony of some sort.
A fat little Shetland.
Oh, yeah. It'll be really cute, but it'll hurt like a sumbitch. But you know who had an even worse election than that? It'd be the party that I haven't even named. And it was the second most powerful in the nation up until 1852. The Whigs didn't win a single House seat. They're gone.
My God.
They had held out hope that they could survive their schism, and now no longer had anyone in the elected federal government representing them.
Yeah.
Stephen Douglas may have thrown the nation into chaos with the Kansas-Nebraska Act, but he also mortally wounded his party's biggest opponents.
Oh, you scored a goal in your own field, Stephen.
Look, Stephen Douglas always falls up. He's always there for the next promotion. Stephen Douglas is that guy in your office who is just constantly applying for shit, but when you ask him why, it's just because he wants upward mobility.
Yeah, Stephen Douglas is the guy who fucked up so badly in the office that to sweep it under the rug, he got a promote. He got like maybe he got a raise, but definitely not a lateral move.
Oh no, we have made him the manager of the district over, so no one has to hear about it. Look, he's just so smart. He was a player in 21. What are you gonna do? Fire him?
Oh my God, he is as American as Paul Bunyan.
And you know, if the Kansas-Nebraska Act had eventually turned around and worked out in the end, we may not even have the Republican Party today. We may be having arguments with our American Party supporting relatives and reiterating, of course the Irish aren't literal demons, Uncle Mike. Why do you always ruin Thanksgiving?
Listen, here's what I love. This is why I laugh so hard at like the fact that there was a party solely bent on hating the Irish. That was their only platform, is because within a generation, these same immigrants took over every police district. Mm-hmm. And then a generation later took over every city council. Whiteness is a crazy thing is what I'm getting at. Well, it's just so fun to laugh.
Oh, Lord. Well, and prior to this, I haven't been able to figure a way to shoehorn it in just because it's so dumb. It's like when I was growing up and I heard adults talking about how dangerous communism is, and I'm like, there's 8 communists in the world. What are you talking about? But prior to the American Party and the anti-Catholic sentiment, there was an anti-Masonic movement. It was literally just a bunch of people getting elected who were like, I don't like Masons. I don't like secret societies. I don't like their geometry.
Which is just code for they wouldn't let me in.
I'm sure it's a lot deeper than that, and I'm going to have to do a good read on it. But it's just one of those things where it's like, if I heard an adult in 1997 saying, I'm anti-communist, I'd be like, wow, great. You don't like what? Cuba? And that's it. Maybe. Right. You don't like 2 countries. Congratulations.
Like, there's a McDonald's in Moscow, right? Like, we won. They had to teach their employees how to smile because that's not natural in Russian custom.
Would you like getting by with life by the skin of your teeth meal? It's for kids.
Here's coffee. I promise there's nothing added to it.
Oh, great. The nation that brought you crocodile presents happiness. But we know a civil war is coming because we're from America, and it's the one thing you learn every year. Every year between kindergarten and 5th grade is dinosaurs. Every year from 5th grade until graduation is civil war.
100%. And the French Revolution.
Oh, we actually didn't get to the French Revolution in my school.
Shut your mouth.
No.
We spent so much goddamn time. Wait, was it the French Revolution or No, I think it was the Protestant schism. We spent so much.
Oh, yeah, we spent some time on Martin Luther, yeah. But so, since there's the Civil War coming, and we all learned that in school, it definitely means the Nebraska Act didn't really do a lot of calming down. By 1856, the violence between North and South had extended from Kansas and moved into the nation's capital of Washington, D.C. The first death involved Congressman Philemon T. Herbert of California. Representative Herbert had arrived at the very fancy Willard's Hotel for breakfast. But just like trying to order pancakes at McDonald's at afternoon in 1991, he was too late and breakfast was denied.
Oh, it is the worst feeling.
It's the dumbest. I used to get so mad at that, and now I'm kind of mad that it's 24-hour breakfast.
Right.
Like, I feel so bad. Like, you're 16, you've had a long day, you're flipping burgers, and then some jackass pulls in through the drive-in and says he wants pancakes.
I want McGriddles. Yeah,
McGriddles are very good.
like, put in some effort. It's going to taste better as a result.
Yeah.
And by the by, it's still McDonald's.
Yeah. You have still woken up for a breakfast that is mediocre at best and shameful at worst.
Best.
Yeah. Like, if you want a McGriddle, here's what you do. You take an English muffin, you fry up an egg, you put some bacon on it, and then here's the hard part. You take a Ziploc bag, you fill it with just the shittiest syrup substitute you can find, put the sandwich in there, let it sit for a few days, and you got yourself a McGriddle.
I'm going to be sick. You're not wrong, but now I'm thinking about it, I'm going to throw up.
Oh man, we could put that on Pinterest and have so many, hits. What's on Pinterest?
I don't know. I don't get Pinterest. Get it?
I'll put it on my live journal. It'll be a secret forever.
Thank you.
Anyway, so Representative Philemon T. Herbert goes into a hotel for fancy breakfast, and they're like, "It's too late, sir." And Herbert acted with true dignity and calmness, and he lost his shit at the head waiter, an Irishman named Thomas Keating. Herbert ended his Karen outburst by shooting Keating and killing him.
Oh no! And because of that, we've had J1 visas to make amends.
So Herbert would end up being acquitted of killing Keating, mostly because he was just charged with manslaughter, but also because the jury was a
bunch of wasps.
They were completely sympathetic to his plight.
Wow.
And to be fair, the punishment at the time for being rich and murdering the Irish is being acquitted.
I mean, again, how many American Party representatives are now in the House? 51?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're the third most powerful. Deal with it. So Herbert would resign from Congress, join the Confederate Army when that became an option, and died 3.5 months after being shot at the Battle of Mansfield. And fun fact, the leader of the Union Army that killed Herbert was Philemon's former Speaker of the House, Nathaniel Banks.
Hey!
It would get even worse on the Senate floor. In March of 1856, Massachusetts Senator Charles Sumner was in the midst of a 2-day speech, today known as the Crime Against Kansas.
Like the crime against my ears. 2 days? God.
In his very, very long speech, Sumner derided the Kansas-Nebraska Act, demanded that Kansas be immediately entered into the Union as a free state, and accused Southerners of wanting to turn the entire nation pro-slavery and force the North into accepting slavery as well. But the section that got Senator Sumner in trouble was the following. And this was directed at South Carolina Senator Andrew Butler. The senator from South Carolina has read many books of chivalry and believes himself a chivalrous knight with sentiments of honor and courage. Of course, he has chosen a mistress to whom he has made his vows, and who, though ugly to others, is always lovely to him. Though polluted in the sight of the world, is chaste in his sight. I mean the harlot, slavery. For her, his tongue is always profuse in words. Let her be impeached in character, any proposition made to shut her out from the extension of her wantonness, and no extravagance of manner or hardihood of assertion is then too great for this senator.
Vapors. I got the vapors.
It is a good diss. And so another thing I read is apparently the over-sexualized nature of this was on purpose, predominantly because a lot of people who enslaved other people tended to rape the enslaved.
Yeah.
And this was something that Charles Sumner was very aware of.
Oh, damn, Sumner! He's a woke bae.
Yeah, Charles Sumner is pretty fucking great. And I mean, he's a true kind of New England looking dude. He looks just it looks like a swift nor'easter would break his legs. But he also looks like he could haul just every lobster out of the bay on his own. It's a weird Ichabod mix going on with this guy.
Here we go.
So Stephen Douglas reacted to this by stating to the senator next to him, "That damn fool Sumner is going to get himself shot by some other damn fool." And the damn fool for the job was South Carolina Representative Preston Brooks. Not only had
Preston.
always never trust a Preston.
Never.
Not only had Sumner insulted his cousin, Senator Butler, but he had deigned insult the state of South Carolina.
Of course they're cousins. Of course they are.
Oh, I want to run with this joke, but the Kentucky in me wants to stop.
Did they also play lax? I bet they went to Duke.
Oh my God.
I'll stop.
Oh my God. If we had merch, I bet they went to Duke would be a t-shirt. I kind of want to look that up now. Anyway. Initially, Brooks had planned to challenge Sumner to a duel, but eventually changed his mind, feeling that Sumner wasn't worthy of a duel because men duel. It's an honorable choice. So 2 days later, Brooks approached Sumner while Sumner was at his desk on the Senate floor writing letters. And Brooks approached him with a speech essentially saying, "You've insulted my state and you've insulted my relative." And while Sumner began to stand up, Brooks hit him in the head with a cane. Now, I'm not talking like a thin wood cane. This thing is a thick black wood cane with a gold topper. He hits Brooks before Brooks can even stand up. Brooks topples to the floor and ends up getting stuck underneath his writing desk, which was bolted to the floor. And
oh my God,
Brooks
such a cheap move.
Brooks continues to hit him while he's under his desk. Sumner, in a moment of pure strength, ends up ripping the desk out of the floor, blood dripping from his face, just trying to run down the aisles to get away. Brooks continues to hit him. He hits him into unconsciousness. He keeps hitting him. The cane breaks in half. He keeps hitting him. And,
oh my God.
And all the while, other senators are attempting to come to his aid, but another congressman from South Carolina is standing there pointing a gun at anyone who dared step too close.
Ah! What?
Yep, this happened on the floor of the Senate.
So the next time you hear about the cooling saucer effect of Turtle McTurtle's Senate, no, just no.
No, there's blood on the Senate floor.
Holy shit.
So this moment alone was enough to rally people in the North against the South. Multiple pro-Sumner rallies sprung up all over the North in support of the brutalized politician. While in the South, President Brooks became a heroic symbol, to the point that he was receiving hundreds of canes as gifts.
Ugh.
The country had reached a tipping point that starts between a lot of civil wars. The moment that two sides can view the same horrific and brutal event, but come to two completely different conclusions.
Well, now we're just getting uncomfortably close to present day, Dusty. Walk it back. I demand you walk it back.
I mean, I'll give you some good news. Actually, back-to-back good news. Because somehow Charles Sumner would live, despite suffering from very severe head trauma.
Wow.
Maybe 3 years before Sumner would be able to return full-time to the Senate. There'd be a moment where he returned for a day, couldn't do it. The state of Massachusetts re-elected him to his seat, viewing the empty seat as a strong symbol as to what the hell happened. And so people would always have to see that empty seat and remember what Charles Sumner stood for. But part of the issue also is that he had undiagnosed PTSD.
Yeah.
And since no one really knew what it was, people were constantly like, take a boat to Europe, go take a vacation, just get some air.
Yeah, go to this place for the air.
You know, walk it off.
Yeah, sanitarium.
Upon his genuine return in 1859, his colleagues would beg him to tone down his anti-slavery talk, to which Sumner said, "When crime and criminals are thrust before us, they are to be met by all the energies that God has given us by argument, scorn, sarcasm, and denunciation." Sumner would be one of the most vocal abolitionists in the Senate, but would also suffer from chronic pain for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he's like, bitch, I lived. No,
yeah.
like
yeah, Charles Sumner, the one who lived.
If anything, it's like an omen from God. I'm still alive, so no, not gonna shut up.
As for Brooks, well, it's kind of a wonderful shit show.
Oh no.
So Brooks, he would resign from Congress, but was then re-elected in a special election to decide who would succeed him. So he's right back into Congress. He'd be found guilty of assault and fined $300 and would serve no time in prison. Congressman from Massachusetts, Anson Burlingame, would end up mocking Brooks until Preston challenged him to a duel. Brooks would then back out, mainly because Anson was notoriously really good at gun stuff. Anson then made fun of Brooks for backing out, which led Brooks to challenge him again. Anson replied very loudly that, yes, I will duel you, and the weapons are going to be rifles, and the place will be the Navy Yard in Niagara Falls, Canada, because fuck the police.
This is amazing.
I might have paraphrased. Brooks then refused to show up, because traveling through the North would be a risk to his life. Anson Burlingame is kind of the fucking best.
Yes. On that motherfucker.
Yeah. And then, 10 months after nearly killing Charles Sumner, Brooks died of the croup. And that's a disease that leads to swelling of the trachea and makes breathing very difficult. The official telegram of his death stated, "He died a horrid death and suffered intensely. He endeavored to tear his own throat open to get breath."
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. This is feeling very biblical.
Yeah. Bastards get croup.
Yeah.
It sounds terrible.
Snitches get stitches.
Look.
And bastards get the croup.
If there's anything I've learned in my life, snitches lead long and productive lives. But yeah, if there's anyone who, like, if there's any proof of like a God-ordained person, I kind of feel like it's Charles Sumner.
Yeah.
So with the Whigs all but gone, a sudden influx of members flooded the Republican Party after the beating of Charles Sumner. Bleeding Kansas got many folks on board at first, but the beating of Sumner was the last straw for many people of the North. It was viewed that the only way to stop the South was to support a party that was entirely for the North. Sensing this as their big chance, the Republicans put together a Northern-focused platform and nominated Mexican-American war hero John C. Fremont for president. Their biggest focus was no further expansion of slavery to the new states, and Democratic President Franklin Pierce is a slave-supporting dickhead who not only allowed the attacks on Northerners in Kansas, but essentially sanctioned them. So, a pretty strong stance.
Yeah.
But hey, everyone, why don't you support the other surviving party that's bigger than the Republicans? That's right, the American Know Nothing Party is here, and they want Catholics not here, so let's fucking do this!
Yeah. Are we doing this? Let's do this!
I invented Monster Energy drink. I want to fucking run. Who wants secret societies of bad opinions?
Appropriately, this party reminds me of a special interest group a cousin of mine found a couple years back.
Okay.
That is passionately about making sure that apostrophes can remain in names, because a lot of computer systems I put in my last name. And it's like, no, you need to put in a real last name. Like, fuck, okay. And I just remove the apostrophe.
I was wondering why that's a thing.
Yeah. So they're all like gung-ho about like, keep the apostrophe. And it's a lot of Irish people.
Yeah.
Or I guess Irish Americans, I should say. And it was just, my cousin sent me like, I don't know, materials for, like, I got a sticker or whatever. And it was just the most adorable thing because, like, yeah, sure, this is the most pressing issue in my life right now.
Yeah, look, kids, I know the world's on fire. I know we just watched the last dolphin die, but hey, guess what?
Guess what?
If we had a working computer, you could spell your last name right.
Yeah, if you wanted to reserve that Delta flight.
No one wants to know what man tastes like. I mean, I could totally support that cause. I just would not give them that much money.
I could support that cause if it were still 1996.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yes. Like, I'd be gung-ho with them. Be like, yeah, let me keep my apostrophe. What the hell is this? It's not even on my driver's license.
What do you guys need? A gift card to Bennigan's? Well, I could do that.
$20 gets you a Clana ring.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing.
Anyway, so yes, special interest groups.
Yeah, so the American Party would have hated that group.
Oh, 100%.
So on paper, the American Party had a really solid nominee with former Whig President Millard Fillmore. But it turns out some of the party members didn't like that choice, mainly because Fillmore was a Southerner who supported slavery. So the group would split and form the North American Party, a group with the exact same ideals as the Americans, but anti-slavery.
2 issues now for the price of 1.
Initially, they nominated Speaker of the House Nathaniel Banks, but after John Fremont won the Republican nomination, they met up again, dumped Banks, and endorsed Fremont. But this angered a group of people in the North American Party, so they split and formed the North American Seceders Party.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
They would nominate Senator Robert F. Stockton, but after realizing they didn't stand a chance to win, they dropped out and endorsed Millard Fillmore. It's the circle of life.
For fuck's sake. It's like, listen, the slavery thing is still not really top priority for us. It's still fuck the Irish.
Yeah. Why can't we enslave the Irish? We used to, and now we can't.
Yeah, what gives?
So by all rights, that should have been the biggest shit show of the whole election. But we wouldn't be talking about Abe Lincoln today if it wasn't for what happened in the 1856 Democratic Convention in Cincinnati, Ohio. The party had recognized that the Kansas-Nebraska Act was not looking very good for them, and sensing a growing dislike for the incumbent Franklin Pierce, a majority of the party had begun to debate whether or not to re-nominate the sitting president. When the initial vote began, 3 candidates emerged: Pierce, Stephen A. Douglas, as the prophecy foretold, and former Secretary of State James Buchanan. Many ballots would follow, and with each one, Buchanan would be in the lead, but he wouldn't have enough to actually win a majority. But with each new round of voting, Pierce would lose more and more support. Since in the end, Pierce went to his delegates, announced that he was dropping out, and asked them to please support Stephen Douglas. But the thing, though, is Douglas wasn't much better in the eyes of Northerners. I mean, he wrote the freaking Kansas-Nebraska Act. Why is he even a better choice?
Why is he here?
You don't even go here.
No, well, I guess people invited him. Anyway.
But James Buchanan, he was a blank slate. While Bleeding Kansas was raging, James was in the UK serving as US ambassador. No one there had asked him his opinion on the matter, so no one would be able to use any support or non-support against him.
Yeah, and who hates the Irish more than the English? This guy's got it all.
God damn it. While Douglas could have won the nomination, he had the sense to know that he could win this battle, but there's no way he would have won the presidency. So his camp approached Buchanan and offered a deal. If James would agree to serve only one term, Stephen would drop out and run in 1860 instead. Buchanan agreed and became the de facto nominee. This is the only time in American history where a sitting president hasn't been renominated. And supposedly, upon losing renomination, Franklin Pierce said, "Nothing left to do now but get drunk." And then he did. And so one of my favorite things about Franklin Pierce, and I have to bring up a picture of the guy, I've never seen a picture of Franklin Pierce where he looks sober.
Oh, amazing.
His official portrait is one of the drunkest things I've ever seen. It might have just been the fashion of the time. Just into a picture of Frank. And also a fun thing to remember is this is when people had to sit still for pictures, because even if you slightly moved, it looked like a ghost was in your face.
Which is really hard when you have delirium tremens.
Yeah, I know, which is very impressive with how this picture looks. I mean, look, Una, you know me. I'm not very good at hair combing. But I know if I'm going to be taking a picture, maybe I should get it wet and comb it to a position.
No, you know what this is? This is the picture you take the next morning when you wake up late and you definitely don't have time to shower and the alcohol is coming out of your pores.
That is exactly what happened. You could absolutely smell the bourbon coming off this man. I mean, I love his side collars that are just almost up to his ears.
Oh, so fun fact about that. That the reason our collars lie down the way that they do now is because Lord Byron was such a massive icon. He flipped his collar down and then like everyone started doing it. And then that became it. And before that, you would have the collars popped up. That was why you had the collars in the first place. But he was just such a the guy.
Well, now I can't make fun of Franklin Pierce for that anymore. That's really good to know. But I will say he is definitely reaching for a flask and is just waiting for that.
Like, Jesus, Pierce.
I take it. Let's fucking take it.
They really, they captured the sadness in his eyes.
Yeah,
that moment where it's like your head kind of lifts out of the alcoholic fog and you're like, wait, how did I end up here?
It looks like he's been in a zoo for 11 years. Like he's just poor Frank. Anyway, Franklin Pierce enjoyed a drink or many, and I love his hair.
Yeah,
anyway, so Buchanan's campaign mostly consisted of writing op-eds and letters that pledged his allegiance to the Democratic platform, of ending anti-slavery agitation, and, if we have time, maybe we should also annex Cuba. Then again, Fremont and Fillmore didn't really campaign either. As Michael F. Holt states in his book, The Election of 1860, A Campaign Fraught with Consequences, what a party stood for was far more important to Americans than the people that the party nominated. And the parties made it very clear what they wanted. Democrats would allow slavery. Republicans wouldn't allow it to spread. And the Americans claimed to be the true nationalists because they supported both the North and the South. And come on, guys, just hate the Catholics with us. But speaking of Catholics, the American Party decided to strike directly at the Republicans during the race, and began a rumor that John Fremont was actually Roman Catholic.
No! He'll take orders from the Pope!
And this was entirely based off the fact that he had a French-Canadian last name. That is literally it. He was a fucking war hero, and they're like, slander his name.
He has an au pair.
This left the Republicans in a very tight place, because if they didn't refute it, then they'd lose the anti-Catholic vote. But if they refuted it too hard, then they'd lose the Catholic vote, which they were actually trying really hard to get at the time.
It's a thin line to walk.
Yeah. And the Republicans really needed all the votes they could get in the North, because they weren't at all on the ballot in the South.
They're the scrappy newcomers, absolutely.
In the end, Fremont and Fillmore would both lose. The Republicans, though, would win 114 electoral votes, taking all but 5 of the free states in the North. As for Fillmore, he would only win Maryland and get 8 electoral votes. After this election, the American Party would slowly die.
Oh, because there were too many Irish.
Fuck it, make them cops.
Yep.
But the Republicans would end up winning in other ways. Not only had the results showed that a vast majority of free states did not offer majority support to the Democrats, but the Republicans had proven that they could be the new standard bearers in the vacuum left behind by the Whigs. Which leaves us to the winner, James No Middle Name Buchanan, also known as James Has No Wife Buchanan. Or James, let's just have my niece be first lady. That's not weird, right, Buchanan?
Was Buchanan possibly our first gay candidate?
I love that you are bringing that up because that is exactly what the next paragraph is about.
Yay!
Let's just get this out of the way. One of the more exciting things, titillating, that was the word I was looking for, one of the more titillating things to debate about James Buchanan is whether or not he was the first LGBTQ plus president we've ever had. And if you want to get real deep into the B-side history arguments, then you can debate whether or not James was our first asexual president. But frankly, I'm not going to argue for either because neither group should ever want this guy to be the bannerman for that historic first. Because, without debate, James Buchanan was the most severely suck-awful president we have had up until 2016. And sure, Thomas Jefferson was right. Civil war is pretty much inevitable after the Missouri Compromise. But James Buchanan saw the ember of what might become war, and while trying to put it out, tripped and just spilled a case of Everclear all over it. So to start off, James felt it best to surround himself with people who already agreed with him. So he filled his entire cabinet with Southerners and Southern sympathizers from the North, what the time were called dough-faces, because you could mold them however you wanted to.
Man, they really had a way with words back then.
Look, we have 6 nicknames, and bakers make most of them. And the best part of surrounding yourself with yes men is that no one ever questions your ideas, even when they're really bad. Sort of like the idea James had before he even became president. It seems like everyone gets mad when the federal government decides who gets to have slavery and who doesn't. So maybe the solution is to no longer have it be the federal government's choice.
Oh no.
You see, there is a case on the docket of the Supreme Court involving a man by the name of Dred Scott. Dred Scott.
Oh no.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, no.
Everything you knew about Dred Scott is actually worse.
Oh no. We were having fun, Dusty.
We'll get back to it. There'll be some fun later.
And then history occurred.
So for those of you who don't know, Dred Scott was an enslaved man, and in 1830, he was sold to a U.S. Army surgeon by the name of John Emerson. Now, Emerson lived in St. Louis at the time, but shortly after then, he ended up moving to Fort Armstrong in Illinois. And so he was moving from a slave state to a free state. 6 years later, Scott was moved from Illinois to the Wisconsin Territory, which, due to the Missouri Compromise, was a free territory. In 1837, Emerson was ordered to return to St. Louis, but instead of bringing Dred Scott, he left him in Fort Armstrong, where Emerson leased out Scott's labor. Following the death of Emerson, Emerson's wife claimed Dred Scott and his family and continued to enslave them in the Iowa Territory, another free territory. And in 1846, Dred Scott attempted to purchase the freedom of his family from Emerson's wife, but she refused, which led Scott suing for his and his family's freedom. Dred Scott would sue that since he had resided in free states, that legally, he and his family could not legally be enslaved, and that they should, by definition, be considered free. Also, the Missouri Compromise literally states that all territories north of Missouri's southern border are free by default, so why the hell should his family still be enslaved when they're living in Iowa?
Yep, you want to put in these wacko borders, then guess what?
Yeah.
You're going to adhere to these wacko borders.
Yeah. So knowing that the issue of slavery was going to be the biggest thing on his plate, Buchanan wrote directly to Supreme Court Justice John Catron, asking, is Dred Scott v. Sandberg, how's it going? Are the justices leaning one way or another? And, maybe before I'm inaugurated, you could convince them to give a more broad decision that could declare the Missouri Compromise unconstitutional? That would be sweet. And so Catron wrote back telling Buchanan that the Southern justices were absolutely going to go against Dred Scott. But they probably couldn't give a broad judgment unless Buchanan could convince Northern Justice Robert Cooper Greer to join them. Buchanan began writing to Greer, and wouldn't you know it, Greer joined the majority opinion.
This is insider trading.
Yeah.
This is egregious.
Yeah. Not only was Dred Scott not a free man, but the court found the following. 1. Persons of African descent cannot be and were never intended to be citizens under the U.S. Constitution. Plaintiff is without standing to file suit. 2. The property clause is applicable only to lands possessed at the time of the Constitution's ratification, 1787. As such, Congress cannot ban slavery in the territories. The Missouri Compromise is unconstitutional. And 3. The Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment prohibits the federal government from freeing slaves brought into federal territories.
What the amazing part is, not amazing, but the heartbreaking part is in 1830, the sentiment was already there of you know what? You're right. You learned our laws, figured out the loophole, pressed our hand. Problem is, we're just going to double down on how much we hate you. That's
the story of America right there.
It's we're backed into a corner. No, the fact is we still hate you, and even more now.
Yeah. Oh, God. So to this day, the Dred Scott decision is considered to be one of the most odious findings of the Supreme Court's history. Instead of rendering the subject of slavery moot, Buchanan only made the Republicans and Northerners even more furious. But I do have a turn of good news. You see, during this time, during the essentially 11-year fight that Dred Scott had for his family's freedom, starting with his lawsuit, the widow of Emerson had married a man in Massachusetts and moved everyone out to Massachusetts. But the man she married was a congressman by the name of Calvin Chafee, who was also a very ardent abolitionist. The funny thing, in the 7 years that they were married, Calvin didn't see really any need to free the Scott family, often going as far to say, oh, these aren't my enslaved people, they're my brother-in-law's, even though he's dead.
Oh, God, that's even worse. Like, I thought it would be like the way that I think I'm going to get around to bringing my plastic bag full of plastic bags to Jewel Osco to recycle, and instead I just end up with more plastic bags filled with plastic bags. Like, I just assumed it was like a lazy feature, but this is
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, the thing though is, since you're an abolitionist, you're hanging out with a lot of true fucking believers. And when
you married one apparently.
No, you didn't. You married someone who is for slavery.
Oh, I thought true believers of slavery. That's
no, I meant true abolitionists. And
okay,
so the Dred Scott case starts to get really famous, and they realize, oh, that's Dred Scott in that abolitionist house doing forced labor.
Hey there, bad PR.
Yeah, people in the cause started calling him a hypocrite and started just calling him out on a very regular basis. And so what Calvin Chafee ended up doing, and I'm trying to fully understand this, apparently there was a loophole that if you pass ownership of the enslaved to someone in a court of law and that person can't be there in the court to agree to it, then those people become free. And so apparently that's what Chafee did. Chafee tried to sign them back to the descendant of one of the original people who enslaved them. That guy didn't show up to court. And 3 months after the Dred Scott decision, Dred Scott and his family were free.
For the love of God, this is the worst, shittiest like Earth-centric astronomy makes more sense than the loophole hold.
It's bonkers. I might have misread some of that, but that's the general gist of what I got.
I bet you didn't.
Yeah. And so the Scott family would end up moving to St. Louis, Missouri. Dred would end up becoming a bit of a local celebrity. He worked at a hotel.
Oh, right.
But sadly, a year and a half later, he would die of tuberculosis. But his family's descendants still live in St. Louis to this day.
Wow.
His wife ended up living until, I think, 1872.
Nice.
But yeah, I never actually, because we were taught about Dred Scott kind of in a passing way in high school. Like, this was a bad decision. Next topic. But it's like, I never actually learned what happened to Dred Scott and his family. And so it's kind of a...
Yeah, it's
not heartwarming, but I'm glad he at least, through
a free man.
Through sheer shaming of someone, he
still
got the...
Which I think, in our world of social media and email campaigns, it's like there's still something to be said for just out and out shaming someone into respectable behavior. That's what it takes.
But Una, cancel culture.
If Louis C.K. deigned leave, then maybe he would be allowed back. But until then, I'm going to keep changing the channel.
All right, so we've had enough serious, kind of very depressing talk. Let's get back into some goofball shit. But who has time to actually fix slavery when the very first summer that you're president, a depression hits? The Panic of 1857 resulted in 1,400 banks and 5,000 businesses going under. And funny enough, it only affected the North. You see, the South blamed investment speculation and, viewed the North's more business-minded sort of mentality as something that would lead them to consistent ruin. And Buchanan also saw no need to financially help the North after this, and went about offering, quote, reform, not relief. But despite this plan, Buchanan would leave office with the government in a $17 million deficit.
In silver-backed U.S. dollars.
Oh my God!
How many zeros?
In today's money, James Buchanan left America in debt by $532 million.
He left us in a Jeff Bezos-filled hole.
See, if James Buchanan just founded Amazon, he would have been fine. He could have been as good as Franklin Pierce. He could have been sober Franklin Pierce.
He could have He could have been delightfully drunk.
And also, bleeding Kansas is still kind of happening during his tenure. But you know what? James is here. James is gonna fix it. Bleeding Kansas. So the little civil war in Kansas.
It's still bleeding out.
Yeah, our opening act is still going. We gotta give him a 5. But Buchanan's dead set on making Kansas a state, and certainly that'll stop whatever's going on. And you see, during Buchanan's tenure, Minnesota and Oregon had been accepted into the Union, and if Kansas got accepted into the nation as a free state, then the South threatened to secede. So his only choice of avoiding civil war is to enter Kansas in as a slave state. So Buchanan appointed Robert J. Walter as territorial governor of Kansas and made him promise that he would ensure that Kansas would vote to enter the Union as a slave state with a pro-slavery constitution.
This guy and his wheeling and dealing.
He's bad at it. He's so bad.
This is, Dusty, I can't stress enough how triggering this episode is for me and our modern day listeners.
Oh my God. There are parallels, and they're awful. Yeah, I feel like anyone who has to study James Buchanan is just constantly sitting at their desk just muttering, no.
Just crying and getting as drunk as Willard Pierce.
Like, the best thing I think Stephen Douglas ever did was force this moron to only be one term, no matter what. Like, there's no way he would have won a second term, but the risk of that is so scary. So what ended up happening was a group of pro-slavery Kansans created a state constitution in the town of Lecompton that was then sent to Buchanan without a statewide referendum to vote on it, which was legally required for the Constitution to be approved. Initially, Buchanan rejected the Constitution, but would change his mind and support it as the official law of Kansas. Buchanan then demanded that all Democrats support this new Constitution and immediately admit Kansas as a slave state. He also grabbed the fuck out of uncertain Dems with appointments, favors, and full-on cash.
My God.
Completely against this plan was a fellow by the name of Stephen Douglas, who fervently supported popular sovereignty, which was letting people vote on the issue, and noted that the vast majority of people from Kansas were very anti-slavery, somewhere around 90%. Douglas especially noted that the Lecompton Constitution had been given a referendum in Kansas, but since it had been forced on the state, all the anti-slavery folks viewed it as a sham election and refused to take part. Buchanan would retort back that if the people of Kansas were so against it, then they should have voted against it, so tough fucking luck.
But they couldn't. You forced it on them.
The Lecompton Constitution would pass the Senate, but Stephen Douglas wasn't going down without a fight. He made his way to the House and whipped up as many Democrats as he could to vote against it. And the House voted it down. And because of this, Buchanan developed a lifelong grudge against Douglas. Using his presidential powers, Buchanan removed as many Douglas supporters as he could from federal office, and then replaced them with his own people.
My God, this tin pot dictator.
Buchanan would then try to bring Kansas in as a slave state all over again by supporting the English Bill, which would grant Kansas immediate statehood and make it a state even larger than previously planned. All the people of Kansas would have to do was accept the Lecompton Constitution. The bill passed, and Kansas subsequently voted against the entire thing. James had solved nothing, but in the process, he had also split his party in the exact same halves that the Whigs had in 1854. Now there were the Northern Douglas faction and the Southern Buchanan group. This hatred of Douglas would push into the 1858 midterm election. Buchanan encouraged a multitude of pro-administration Democrats to run against pro-Douglas Democrats in Illinois, with the goal of embarrassing Douglas in his home state. And it's not like Douglas wasn't busy enough, now facing a credible Republican challenge from former Whig Abraham Lincoln. But if there's one thing we've learned here, never underestimate Stephen Douglas's ability to succeed. Not only did he beat Lincoln, but pro-Douglas Dems won all across the North, leaving the Buchanan faction of the Democrats holding just the South and a couple spots in James's home state of Pennsylvania. James succeeded in bronzing the divide in the party in only 2 years.
Damn.
Also, the Republicans, for the very first time, won a plurality in the House of Representatives. James reacted to this by vetoing nearly every Republican bill that came in front of him. But what about foreign policy, I hear you asking?
But what about foreign policy, Dusty?
Oh my God, I didn't see that coming. I mean, Buchanan was Secretary of State. He was the freaking ambassador to the UK. He should at least have this one set, right? No. James Buchanan is failure incarnate. He is the ultimate example of the Tudor principle. The world is lucky that the most dangerous thing at his disposal was a well-oiled cannon.
Oh my God.
So let's get this over with. Of the small things that James wanted to do, James wanted to make the Mexican states of Chihuahua and Sonora protectorates of America, eventually turn them into states. He wanted to buy Cuba from Spain. He wanted to buy Alaska and turn it into a colony for the Mormons, but it didn't happen because he and Russia couldn't settle on a price. It also stands to note that at this time the Utah War was going on, which was the fight between the Mormons in Utah and the US government, that eventually James was able to settle down. And technically he didn't do it. He just accidentally sent a good person to negotiate.
He just stepped on his dick in a positive manner for once.
Your dick stepping amuses the prophet.
Yes.
But the crown jewel, my favorite thing I have researched in this whole debacle, would be the time that James nearly declared war on Paraguay.
What?
So, at some point, James Buchanan had gotten word that some foul business was occurring down in Paraguay. Buchanan would claim that Paraguay had, quote, seized the property of Americans living in Paraguay, refused to ratify a treaty between the two nations in a very rude manner, and fired upon the United States steamer the USS Water Witch, and killed the sailor at the helm while the ship was surveying the Parana River. Upon this, Congress authorized Buchanan to, quote, obtain satisfaction, using force if necessary. But what really happened down in Paraguay was vastly different than the version that Buchanan had come to believe. And we're going to take this each point by point. So we're going to start with Paraguay seizing American property. And it goes all the way back to 1845. So in 1845, a fellow by the name of Edward A. Hopkins was sent on a confidential voyage to Paraguay to determine whether or not to extend diplomatic relations to the country. One of the big foreign relation plans at the time was to extend America's sphere of influence into South America. The thing, though, is Edward Hopkins was, well, I'll let historian Thomas O'Flickama take the wheel on this. Quote, Edward A. Hopkins was an unusual man, and therein lay his difficulties. His outstanding characteristics were presumptiveness, egotism, marvelously bad judgment. These characteristics were combined with a lively imagination that Hopkins resorted to whenever reality became too cumbersome, which was most of the time. Hopkins managed to combine these characteristics in such an unusual manner that he antagonized everyone who had the misfortune of dealing with him.
It's one of those things where I think, you know, like back in a time when with enough money you could just be eccentric. And then I remember that WeWork exists, and I realized nothing's changed.
Yep, 100%. It should also be noted that by this time, Hopkins had been court-martialed 3 times and then kicked out of the U.S. Navy. But thanks to family connections with Buchanan, Hopkins fell straight into this top-secret expedition, because at the time, Buchanan was Secretary of State for the United States.
Fail upward, fail upward.
So Hopkins was supposed to just try and spread American goodwill, test the waters for diplomatic ties, and instead, he tried to broker peace between Paraguay and the Buenos Aires province, and also tried to convince Buenos Aires to attack Britain, or France. You know, both, maybe. Just attack one of them. It'll be great. When Juan Manuel de Rosas, the dictator of Buenos Aires, refused to even listen to Edward, Hopkins wrote him a letter so offensive that the United States had to apologize and removed Hopkins from Paraguay.
Oh my God.
But, you know, failing up is never a one-time thing, now is it?
Nope.
Because sometime between then and Buchanan becoming president, Hopkins convinced the governor of Rhode Island that Paraguay is just the best place ever to found a small business. And the two started a company that would ship stuff to South America. Not only that, but Hopkins had just been appointed as the U.S. consul to Paraguay. And this was because he was the only person who applied for the job.
Oh, no.
So initial shipping plans of the Rhode Island company fell apart almost immediately, mainly because their primary steamer shipwrecked before it even got close to Paraguay.
Oh, no.
Thinking on his feet, though, Hopkins went straight to Carlos Antonio Lopez, the president and full-on dictator of Paraguay. Somehow, Hopkins was able to get a loan of 11,500 pesos from the president to start a sawmill and cigar factory, and even got approval to use cheap conscript labor, all at the behest in favor of Lopez. Flickama would state that dealing with Lopez called for diplomatic tact and patience, 2 things Hopkins would never have in his life. Especially because Hopkins kind of had a fucked up habit of constantly talking about how he wanted to, quote, civilize Paraguay.
Oh, no.
So while literally anything could have caused Lopez to hate Hopkins, the thing that did it was Hopkins' brother. You see, what Hopkins' brother did is he disobeyed a Paraguayan soldier who asked him, please don't ride your horses too close to these cattle. And his brother ignored the soldier, and the cattle ended up stampeding. The soldier grew enraged and hit Hopkins' brother with the flat end of his sword. When Edward got the news, he grabbed his riding boots, a whip, and stormed into Lopez's office, laying forth a barrage of swears and threats. Lopez calmly dismissed Hopkins and ordered him expelled from the country, effectively no longer making him U.S. consul.
Yeah.
Lopez, in a vow of remittance, did sentence the soldier to 300 lashes, but Hopkins also wanted Lopez to apologize in the national newspaper. Lopez wasn't going to do that, and to make things somehow more worse, Hopkins had booked passage out of the country on the USS Water Witch. That was bad because Lopez had banned all foreign warships from Paraguayan waters, and the Water Witch, that's an American warship.
So, what was it doing there?
Well, mostly it was a naval ship for expeditions to kind of mark geography and things like that, but it had a cannon on it, and for Lopez, cannon equals warship.
Yeah, especially when he's fucked off to this cannon-having ship after quite a bit, after being kicked out of the country.
Exactly. And upon being kicked out of the country, Lopez also seized his cigar factory and all the businesses that were there. So
Obviously,
the
he
loss of
doesn't need it.
yeah. And so, yeah, that's what the loss of property and the loss of the Rhode Island Company's businesses. Refusing the treaty. So Paraguay was in the process of aligning themselves with a number of major non-South American nations, and America was just the newest to that list. However, the treaty that they had initially signed and got sent to Congress was found to be rife with typos. Most notably, the United States of America was named as the United States of North America. So a new error-free treaty had to be sent back to Paraguay. In the middle of all of the treaty being sent to America and then being sent back, Hopkins had gotten kicked out of the country. So when the new version of the treaty was sent down, no one was there to receive it.
Oh my God, this idiot.
So since no one had gotten the treaty was given to the captain of the Water Witch. And when they got there, they're like, hey, give this to Lopez, have him sign it. And by the time they got there, Lopez was far too angry to sign the revised treaty and said they wouldn't sign a version of it that wasn't in Spanish and sent it back unsigned. And then firing on the USS Water Witch. So after the Water Witch had helped Hopkins leave Paraguay, all foreign ships were immediately banned from Paraguay, whether they were warships or not. During a mission to survey the Parana River, the Water Witch sailed towards a Paraguayan fort to supposedly navigate around a sandbar, but some believe this was done entirely to try and insult Lopez. Paraguayan soldiers sent a canoe to the ship with a copy of Lopez's decree that, hey, foreign ships are banned, don't come here. But the Americans refused to even read it because, quote, it wasn't in English.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The Paraguayan soldiers on land fired 2 blank shots before firing a live cannon round at the ship, which would end up killing the Water Witch's helmsman. The Water Witch was forced to retreat, and after getting struck 10 more times, barely limped into port in Argentina. And so hilariously, though, the American public couldn't have scraped together even one fuck to give about all this. And despite all that, and with really no accurate info to go on, and no real desire to find any, James Buchanan sent a fleet of 19 ships to Paraguay, the largest that America had ever sent at the time, and this was about 25% of the entire American Navy.
Like, based on the yellow journalism in his head.
Yes. Based off a family friend who no one liked or trusted.
Yeah, the idiot family friend that you send to South America. You're like, just don't fuck anything up. Just don't touch anything.
I touched everything.
No.
So upon arrival, the chief diplomat of the United States was to demand the following: an apology for the attack on the Water Witch, an apology for not signing the Treaty of Friendship, a payment of $5,000 for the seaman who was killed aboard the Water Witch, and a suitable payment to the United States and the Rhode Island Company to cover losses and damages. For this bullet point, the diplomat was not to accept anything less than $500,000, and if Paraguay refused to pay, then the fleet was to attack and capture the capital city of Asuncion. So, funny thing about this.
Oh no.
So, at one point in the future, the capital city of Asuncion would be taken over, and this would be during the War of the Triple Alliance. And this was a time that Brazil, Argentina, and Uruguay would succeed in attacking Paraguay. In the process for them to take Asuncion, it would take them 5 years of war and 239,000 soldiers to get there. Buchanan had sent 2,500 men.
Yeah. You just think this is some prissy little village that's just going to bend over.
And the other kind of funny thing is Paraguay's kind of landlocked. So the only way to get to Asuncion is to go up the Parana River.
And it has the name Piranha in it.
You kind of can't send 19 boats on it all at once.
My God.
The American Navy actually had to purchase about 10 steamer ships just to be sure that they could get something up the river. But, luckily it wouldn't come to that. Lopez understood the main goal of the American fleet was diplomacy, and knowing America was on the verge of civil war, he knew he held the advantage. Lopez agreed to the first 3 terms, but was only willing to go up to $250,000 to pay back the Rhode Island Company.
Which is incredibly generous.
However, the chief U.S. diplomat quickly realized that $500,000 in damages for the Rhode Island Company was completely ludicrous and encouraged Lopez to enter arbitration. They even volunteered to speak on Lopez's behalf that the company was asking for far too much money. The chief negotiator then said, I will connect you with an incredibly good lawyer in the States, and then did.
Oh my God. This is amazing.
In the end, by a bit of bribery, but also due to genuine reason, the Rhode Island Company was found to receive nothing. No money, and no damages in need of payment. If Buchanan had sent the chief guy down there just to say get money, they could have had $250,000. But because James Buchanan is failure incarnate, they get nothing. Good day, sir. To make things even worse, in the end, Buchanan had spent $3 million to send this huge fleet down to Paraguay. In return, for $9,412.
Oh my God.
Of which, all of it went to the helmsman's family.
No!
You get nothing, sir. Good day.
Good day.
So after 4 years of just pure freaking failure, Congress grew really impatient and they formed the Cavoti Committee, which was created to figure out whether or not James Buchanan should be impeached. Granted, not much would have happened because they started their work in March of 1860, but I'm pretty sure it was just the principle of the matter at that point.
Yeah. Let the record show that we did consider this.
And while Buchanan had done all the bribery for potential slave Kansas statehood, he was smart enough not to leave around a ton of evidence, and in the end, the committee didn't recommend impeachment. But that sure as fuck didn't stop the Republicans from printing and handing out the committee's findings, which were not super flattering in the slightest, alleging corruption and abuse of power amongst Buchanan's cabinet. But probably the most damning of Buchanan's sins was that he pretty much guaranteed that the Civil War would happen before the next election even occurred. And this is where we're going to leave off, right before the election of 1860.
Oh my God!
Ah, man. So, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put James Buchanan on the list of president?
Oh boy, I mean, it's hard not to put him at number 2 right now, just because I am living through the actions of, the current possible like runner-up.
Yeah. It's kind of, it's a lot. Let me see if I can find historical rankings of presidents here, because I believe, oh yeah, some people will put Andrew Johnson below James Buchanan, but weirdly enough, Franklin Pierce is also in the bottom rankings as well. Same with William Henry Harrison, same with Millard Fillmore, same with John Tyler. Essentially, the country went through about 5 of the worst presidents we ever had in about a 30-year period.
Was there just like more lead in the water 30 years prior?
There's definitely a lot more cholera.
Oh my God. Yeah, but then there was cholera after.
The Civil War wasn't about cholera rights. It was. But yeah, averaging everything out prior to Trump, for historians, Buchanan was the worst, Andrew Johnson 2nd, Franklin Pierce 3rd, Harding 4th, William Henry Harrison 5th, John Tyler 6th, Millard Fillmore 7th. Damn. It was a bad run for America. And so next time we're going to be talking about the King Gadfly, Abraham Lincoln, and the many people he ran against for president.
Amazing.
So yeah, we'll see you all next time. Oh my God, James Buchanan sucks so hard. Gadfly is a production of Added Serotonin. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at GadflyPod.